Hey, hey, we are live. What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope y'all had a good weekend. My name is Shanti Das. I am your host of the Yale Wellness Live Check-In. Honored to be here today. Come on into the room. Let me know how y'all are doing. Hopefully, what's up, Vanessa? On the check-in. A Daughtry, oh my man, what's up? AD. Hi, Lecrae. Okay, Lecrae is here. Lecrae, send me a request to go live on my screen, and if you can, I'll do it on my end. What up, Nova? Hope you and your daughter are well. Love you guys. All right, I'm gonna try to get my guy in now. We are loading. Supernova. Thank you guys for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. It's trying times for all of us. There we are, everybody. Let's give a big welcome to my homie and my friend, who I'm honored to call you friend. Lecrae, what's going on?
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Good, good. Thank you so much. I know that you got a lot going on, but I think, these are difficult times, as you know, and someone like yourself, who so many of us look up to, it's nice to just check in, right? To see how you doing, to see how your family doing, and then for you to be able to share some information with us that can kind of help us from a day-to-day perspective. So first and foremost, let me ask you, my brother, how are you and your family and the whole team and the staff doing?
Everybody's doing good. I can run down the line, you know what I mean, from the office and the label and the artists. It's been great. Thank goodness for technology. We've been able to stay in touch with each other via Zoom and different stuff like that. Obviously the artists can't tour right now, can't get on the road. So we just been looking at solutions and thinking through things on that wavelength. And then the family's good. Honestly, it's given me more time with family than I've ever had. So as much as there's going to be things that, that cause turmoil and pain, there's also going to be some things about this season that I really appreciate and I'm really grateful for.
Absolutely. We got to check in. Joshua from India. What's up, Joshua? We got somebody checking in from Brazil. So
Yeah.
we are taking this thing around the world today. Yeah, wellness. So let me just start. I want to ask you my first question. As we all know, you released a new single called Set Me Free.
Yeah.
And when you posted about the song on Instagram, you talked about being free from disease, free from living on the streets, free to spend this time growing. Can you talk about those feelings in a time like this? Because I just feel like that song, I don't know if you were very intentional in the timing of it all, but it's so what we need right now.
Oh yeah, it's crazy just how God worked, how the song ends up being so aligned with where we are right now in society, in the world. So it wasn't intentional. It just, what it was that I was going to hold on to the song because I felt like, well, all this stuff is going on. Let me release it later down the line. I don't want to be tone deaf. And the people's like, nah, what we need is the encouragement. You know what I mean? What we need is the music that speaks to our moment and speaks to our reality. So that's kind of why I put it out. And yeah, I wanted the song to remind people that they're not, shackled. You know what I'm saying? I know what it feels like to be trapped in your own mind. I know what it feels like to be, spiritually trapped, emotionally, relationally trapped. And I wanted people to know that freedom exists, that it can happen, especially folks who are battling mentally right now. I feel like there's no way out. Like I want them to know that that's not true. That there is hope, there is freedom, there is another side, and that you can get to the other side of what you battling with.
Amen, brother. I agree with that. We also had someone checking in from Switzerland. What's up? Melanated Social Work. What's happening? My next question is, you've seen, a lot of our top musicians from John Legend on down doing a lot of free concerts. And I know you kind of mentioned that you and your staff have been talking about figuring out kind of what's next, how to stay connected. Have you thought about doing any, IG concerts or anything on your site to give us a taste of, what hopefully we'll be able to see this summer?
Yeah, I just been, just jumping on live, just like, playing some games, truth or dare, giving people snippets of some new music, and I would love to just get it, you know what I'm saying, get it to where all of us can lock in and do something collectively, you know what I'm saying? So we just been thinking through, how to give people that, even though we're going to be separated, how can we give it to them in a collective fashion? So the beauty is technology is available to us. So we just trying to figure it out piece by piece, but I definitely want to stay connected. You know, shout out to everybody around the world. I know Belize, Brazil, everybody watching. So this is a
South
great
Africa, Canada. I mean, boy, let me tell you, boy, you worldwide.
man.
It's
It's a
such a
blessing.
blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever kind of like sit back and pinch yourself and go like, you know, wow, God, like you have really given me a global platform, because not everybody has the ability to not only like inspire, but like really affect culture from a global perspective. Like, how did that feel for you?
Man, you know, honestly, that's it's like if you in the right frame of mind, um, you see it as an opportunity to help people. You see it as an opportunity, like any platform you get is not yours. You know what I'm saying? It's been given to you to steward. You know what I'm saying? It's not yours to just take all the glory and all the shine. It's an opportunity for you to serve other people. You know what I mean? Opportunity for you to help people and walk with people. So for me, I look at it like, man, I'm just creating a soundtrack or a story that people can connect with and help them in their journey, because we all on a journey. And so you know,
That's
that's why
right.
I'm here. Yeah.
And you know, I agree with you 100%. You know, when I first started talking about silence to shame, and you know, it's no secret that I contemplated taking my own life in 2015, and I got the help that I needed. But I also felt, you know, from a medical perspective, but I felt like God also placed this ministry in my lap with silence to shame, and gave me the ability, one, to just be vulnerable enough to be open and transparent, because you know, suicidal ideation is a tough thing for anybody to talk about. But through His grace and His mercy and favor, I felt okay with talking about it. And
Yeah.
you know, you've really supported silence to shame above and beyond in the past. And so, you know, can we talk a little bit more about, you know, mental wellness and covering, you know, the anxiety that you may be anticipating, how, you know, it's spiritual and, you know, it's clinical, right? So just
Yeah.
like, you know, we can pray, we want to also be able to not be ashamed to get help from a therapy perspective, but it really is a holistic approach with mind, body, and soul and
Right.
spirituality. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of managing your mental health in this pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I'll say is, like, you already kind of touched on it. A lot of folks, you know, I've been seeing even stuff on the news where in people of faith and people in the church world, you know, some of us are acting a little crazy right now. You know what I'm saying? In terms of not taking the pandemic seriously and saying I'm covered by the blood and I ain't got to worry about that. And I just want to help people understand, spiritually you may be covered, but you're still in an earthly body. You know what I'm saying? And so this thing has got some flaws and some kinks to it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you gotta take care of it. And then my thing is, like, listen, nobody ever says, you know, man, I'm overweight, I'm just gonna pray about it. That doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? If you overweight, you would say, what steps do I need to take? You know what I mean? And you know, obviously God will give you the strength, but it's some scientific steps you take. And
Mm-hmm.
similarly to the mental space, you got to remember, like, your brain is physical. It's part of your physical body, so it's an organ that you have to take care of. And there
Mm-hmm.
are things that you do to take care of your brain, the mind. And the people don't really kind of understand what the mind is, and how the brain is an organ, and the mind is spiritual, and the way the mind works is spiritual, but it's connected to a physical organ that you have to take care of. And so taking care of that, especially when anxiety or depression, suicidal ideation, taking care of that is brain health, right? So
Absolutely.
it's brain health. So you got to take care of your brain. And so in this situation, I would tell people, you know, first and foremost is realize what you're dealing with, understand the circumstances, you know, digest it. It's gonna, you know, the anxiety of it all is gonna hit you. The
Mm-hmm.
sadness, the depression is gonna hit you, and that's okay. And then you got to start asking some questions, like what are you ultimately afraid of, or what is it that you're ultimately sad about or upset about, and then you work backwards,
Mm-hmm.
and you start working backwards in that process. So anyway, I could go on, but I just get some tangible things that I've been personally doing, just to wrestle with that. Is one is just acknowledging what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling, expressing it, because if you don't talk about it, if you can't name it, you can't address it. So first and foremost, I would just say name it, what you're dealing with.
Acknowledge the feelings. That's yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So that's all great information. For me, I'm still kind of grieving a lot, not kind of, I'm still grieving the loss of my sister.
Yeah.
And I have to acknowledge good and bad days, right?
Right.
Because I'm doing better, but I have my moments. And, even like with the isolation, I feel like sometimes my walls are closing in on me and I have to get up and do something different. I can't just sit there right in the moment. So I might go outside and try to take a walk in my neighborhood, or, I might go into prayer or just some breathing techniques. Because, I think we all have mental health. We may not have a mental illness, but being inside in this quarantine is really messing with a lot of people, right? And
Yeah.
I think for the first time, people may be acknowledging these feelings, to your point, of the anxiety.
Yeah.
They've never felt it before, and we know sometimes anxiety can even, panic attacks can mirror heart attacks. And so it's really, really important, you guys, to listen to what he was saying about acknowledging your feelings. I think that is truly, truly important at this time. So thank you for that. Shout out to Olivia, who's watching us. So my next question, Lecrae, is wellness is all about mind, body, and soul. And I added business to it because I feel like if your business ain't right, right, and the bag and the paper ain't right, then that's going to lead to, it could manifest itself into physical health problems, mental health problems, and so forth. So can you give us some tips for entrepreneurs and things that we can kind of be doing, as well as self-care tips during this quarantine?
Yeah, so a lot of folks, I would say, probably a lot of your anxiety, a lot of your fear, a lot of your sadness or your depression, is connected to your finances, and your finances are connected to your business or your job, and so on and so forth. And ultimately, what you're wrestling with in this time period is control, right? You're like, all this is showing us, it's not showing us that we're losing control. It's just showing us that we never really had control in the first place. And so when you realize, okay, man, I don't have ultimate control of the situation, right? All this is in God's hands in the first place. What you begin to do is you begin to say, okay, how can I be a better steward? How can I be a better manager of what I do have in my as far as my responsibilities are concerned? So what it's making a lot of us do is assess our businesses, assess our finances, assess a lot of the things that we have going on, the necessary and the unnecessary, and say, wow, I need to be planning for some other things in the future, because I can't control a lot of the things that are going on. And so it's
Right.
like a farmer, a farmer can't control the weather, so he's preparing, right? You
Right.
preparing, you're planting some of this, you're planting some of that, you got some of this stored up, you got some of this saved. And so the advice I give people all the time is digest, assess, invest. Number one, you digest. Digest the circumstance that you're sitting in right now. Digest the reality. Don't panic, because that panic is not going to help you. So digest it. What are you dealing with? How are you personally affected? How are you financially affected? Digest that. Understand the reality instead of freaking out. Okay, oh man, I'm losing money here. I'm missing out on this. Then you assess. Okay, assess your business, assess your financials. What would happen if you did not make the kind of money that you've been making for the last 2 months for 6 more months? Assess what are the subscriptions that you may have that are unnecessary. Assess where the needs are, where the wants are, and then invest. Then you start investing in yourself and in your business, mentally and emotionally, right? You got to invest in yourself. So taking the time to meditate, taking the time to pray through stuff, but then also investing in your business and investing in what you have going on. For some of us, our new business is working on our business, right?
That's
That's
right.
our new business right now. So that's what I would say in this season.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's funny. That is so true for me right now because, I run my foundation, but I'm also an entrepreneur and I'm a speaker. And I'm working on trying to figure out what does business look like for me, right? Because all of my speaking engagements got canceled for obvious reasons. But how am I able to, plan for Q3 and Q4? And, somebody commented that, money, we shouldn't be worrying about it. And no, I'm not sitting around worrying about money. But what I am worried about is, how do I take care of myself, after this? Because we're going to come out of this, right?
Right.
Preferably in the next couple of months, and we can try to find our new normal again. But it is so important to, like you said, I'll recap, digest, assess, and then invest. And invest doesn't mean money. It means in
Right.
your mental health, in your wellness. You could be investing in your body and how you
Yes.
get up and exercise every day. You could be investing in your spiritual maturity and your wellness,
Yes.
and how you really take time, because I'm so grateful, because I feel like sometimes God has a sense of humor. It's no mistake that you're on my feed during Holy Week. And it's not to impose my
Wow.
faith on anybody, right?
Wow.
But you and I, we just connected, I feel like, on a spiritual level, and that
Yeah.
mutual respect a few years back. But I have so much respect for you and your word and your material, and how you really try to empower others. And so, again, as we lead into Holy Week, I just think it's so divine, that you're sharing a lot of this, because it really is mind, body, soul, and business. It's all one, and it's
Yeah.
how you look at it and how you approach it. So I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I had to just
No, that's great.
get that
That's
off
great.
my chest, because everything you're saying is really profound right now. One thing I also noticed, on March 23rd, you posted about this new T-shirt that you're selling, and it was entitled "This Is Not the End," which I actually got to go on and cop mine, so I will be supporting it. And I know that the proceeds are going to benefit those affected with COVID-19. Can you share a little bit about that? You also did $100 Cash App, giveaways to your fans, which I thought was really cool. Can you just kind of tell us how you've been doing your part to give back during this pandemic?
Yeah. So a lot of it too is I'm gonna be 100% honest. A lot of that last element of invest. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's investing in other people. It's investing in folks who are struggling. It's investing in people who have needs, because what that does is it gets me off of where I'm struggling. It gets my mind off of the areas that overwhelm me, because I begin to look around me and see there's so many other issues and so many other problems, and I can begin to do my part to invest in some other people. And so
Mm-hmm.
what that does is it helps me. It's part of my meditation, my healing process. So I'm not sitting around stressing because
Yeah.
my mother is at risk, and I'm not doing all that. I'm sitting here doing what I can do. And yeah, so the proceeds for the shirt, obviously go to help Love Beyond Walls, another organization, Preemptive Love, which works out in the Middle East, because there's a lot of refugees who are struggling right now, who don't have
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to isolate, to self
Mm-hmm.
quarantine. And so it's really just a lot of that. I always want to look for opportunities to serve people and to keep people's spirits lifted up. I mean, it's kind of like, hey, sometimes, restoration, which is kind of the mantra that I've been living under for a while. Restoration is not just this, like you said, it's holistic. So sometimes we just need our laughter restored.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we just need it's the
Mm-hmm.
little things. It's not always this
Ooh,
big
amen
epiphany.
to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's really
It's so good to laugh. It's a lot of comedians that have been posting some really funny stuff lately. So I encourage everybody to make that, as a part of your self-care. What are you and your family doing for self-care?
No, that's great. So for us, we've been doing a lot of interacting. And here's the other thing about, like, what you're saying, self-care. Sometimes you discover, these principles that have been around forever, but you haven't taken advantage of them. So we went on a nature walk. We just went on a hike,
Mm-hmm.
through the woods, on a trail by a river, and it was nobody around. And for us, it was like, that was great bonding. And then when they say, hey, y'all need to be in the house, well, we had a Nerf gun fight, and we
I love
released
it.
some endorphins and some dopamine in the brain, and had some fun. And we played a game of hide and go seek, just around the house, and things like that, bring mental health. It brings restoration to you. And the last thing that we've been doing is we just been doing PE, doing gym class, and
I love that.
you know what I mean, like in the front yard, in the house, wherever we can, because again, like you said, it's holistic. So it's mind, body, soul, and everything else flows out of that. So if you're not taking care of your body, people don't realize, when you have a mental illness, one of the first things a doctor will tell you is to make sure that you're physically active and that you're getting at least 30 minutes of exercise, because what that does is it helps release the chemicals in your brain that are necessary for healing and health. So that's just another thing that we're doing in this time period as well.
That's right. And for me, like, from a self-care perspective, I love to dance. So I've been doing my own little dance
There
parties.
you go.
You know, I broke out the boom box. I had an 80 set the other day. Then I've been doing my 90 set. So just having a good time. You know, some people obviously love sports, and, you know, with our sports teams not being able to play, shout out to the Atlanta Hawks who are watching today. You know, NBA TV is playing old games, so you can go back and, you know, watch some of your favorite games. You can take a nap. Like you said, you can meditate, you can go for a walk, you can do coloring books, board games, you know,
all that.
Perfect time for like family board games. So it's just so much that you can be doing. So just make sure that you guys stay connected. I give a tip of the day for every year wellness check-in, and my tip for the day is get an accountability partner, right? Because there's a lot of people that are out there living alone, and so if you live alone, you know, get a couple people on your speed dial, or folks that you know you guys can call and check on one another, make sure you're exercising, make sure you're eating right, getting out of the house. Well, the other thing is, you know, if you got a neighbor that you know that's elderly or someone with young kids, you go to the grocery store run and they need something, drop the groceries off, you know, at their doorstep. I think it's a lot that we can do, because it really is just about honing in on the human spirit, right, and the human connection, because we're all fighting this thing globally. And it's just really important that we take the time to like look out for one another and check on our neighbors.
That's great. I love
Lastly, it. I'm not going to hold you long. I have one last thing. So as we're kind of talking about a lot of people living alone and the isolation, and I know that you're a strong man of faith, and like I mentioned earlier, this is Holy Week. Can you give us some spiritual guidance, or any scriptures that you kind of stand on, or anything that we can kind of get through, and maybe incorporate into our morning, you know, prayers or meditation?
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I've been meditating on, you know, for the last couple of weeks is in Jeremiah chapter 29. And I think everybody knows 29:11, where it says, I know the plans I have for you, plans, you know, for a good future, so on and so forth. And I think that's an encouraging verse, right? It's encouraging if you think about God having good plans for you. He's got his mind on you. And he's got a good future in mind for you. But it's even more encouraging when you look at the whole verse. And in chapter 29, verse 4 through 10, it's talking about people in captivity. And so there's a promise that God has given, but that promise is because there was a problem. And so a lot of us have problems going on in our lives, and God has not forgotten about us, and God's not overlooking our problems. He's just saying that, listen, that problem that you're dealing with comes with a promise, but you don't get the promise without there being a problem, right? So for us, we always want to avoid problems. We want to avoid tough situations. We want to avoid what we're involved in right now, what we're dealing with mentally or emotionally. But God is not transactional. He's not just going to turn that stuff off. He's relational. He's going to walk with you through it. And he's got a good plan for you at the end. What you're going through is going to make you a better version of who you are. So never despise the cocoon that turns a caterpillar into a butterfly. We in a cocoon right now. You know what I'm saying? We in a cocoon right now, and God is doing something. So let him do his work, and we'll come out on the other side better than we were before.
I love that. Thank you. I tell people all the time, you know, your scars help to shape your soul, right? And you have to walk through the valley, right? Don't mean you got to stay in the valley.
Yeah.
I thoroughly know when I was going through a lot of my depression, I knew I was going to come up on the other side, but I had to walk through it, and I had to allow, you know, God to help me process through it all, right? Because it was just no way around it, unfortunately. So a couple last things I just want to tell everybody. Again, the organization is Yeah Wellness. And I run my foundation, Silence the Shame. We are actually working with a local seamstress in the Atlanta area, and we're going to be making washable face masks, and we're going to donate them to the homeless community, because that's one population that I'm really worried about during this time, right? Because a lot of them don't really have anywhere to self-quarantine, and certainly the refugees and other communities around the world that you mentioned. So we're going to try to do our part to make as many masks as we can and get them sent out in the next week or two. So you can visit our website if you want to donate $1, $2, whatever, silencetheshame.com. All of our Yeah Wellness IG lives will be up on our Yeah Wellness YouTube channel, so tune in. Tomorrow we are going to be interviewing Estelle, so very excited to talk to Estelle. And then Wednesday we have Karen Civil. Thursday we have D1, and I'm working on somebody else special for Friday. God is good.
You got all the homies. You got great people coming through, man.
And
Y'all
then
gotta stay
Monday, next
tuned.
Monday, a week from today, we have Dansby Swanson from the Atlanta Braves. So,
Sheesh.
God it's crazy, Lecrae. Like, he placed this on my spirit a couple of weeks ago because I was like, what can I do to continue using my voice, right, to help people and to uplift them, and being able to check in with you guys means so much, and it means so much to everybody watching. So truly, truly appreciate you for taking time out today to share with us, and keep us in mind. April is Stress Awareness Month, so we want to, continue to do stuff around that. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and May 5th is National Silence and Shame Day. So, my brother, I will be calling you hopefully back in May so we can maybe do something else virtually together. But thank you. Shout out to Flex and your whole team, and everybody. Just remember to digest, assess, invest. The scripture that Lecrae mentioned was Jeremiah 29, verse 11, and then Jeremiah 29, verse 4 through 10. We got to hold each other accountable, and we got to acknowledge our feelings. And together, only together, can we silence the shame.
I love it.
Love you, my brother.
I love you too. Thank you for what you're doing, man. We need you. Keep going.
Thank you, man. I'm grateful to be here. I'm alive. It's 2020, baby.
I know that's right. I appreciate
Keep this thing
you.
going. All right. Much love to your family.
Yeah, same. Appreciate you.
ATL, stay down. Peace.
Hey.